You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Welcome back, another episode of the Player Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Chris Shanafelt, and I'm now joined by 2020 NFL Draft prospect, defensive tackle out of the University of West Georgia by way of Kennesaw State University. He's Auzoyah Alufohai. Hopefully I got it close enough, Big Z. Appreciate you taking some time to chat. How's everything going, my man?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. So a couple weeks ago, you're in St. Petersburg, Florida. No better place to be, by the way, or very few better places to be in the early or first couple of weeks of January. You had the opportunity to play in the East-West Shrine Bowl, and by the sounds of reports, it seems like you had yourself quite the week. Can you just shed some light on what it meant to you to get that opportunity to play in front of scouts from all 32 NFL teams and one of the bigger college football all-star games there is? It's certainly the oldest one, the one with most tradition. What that opportunity meant for you and what it was like to play against some of the best in the nation?
Oh, definitely. It was a huge opportunity for me going to the East-West Shrine Bowl. That was actually one of the bowls I really wanted to go to out of the big three necessarily. Because for me, it meant going down there, spending time with the kids at Shriners Hospital, and that was a huge part for me. Spending time with the kids, playing games with them, dancing, having a bunch of fun with them. But to talk about football a little bit, it was also a huge opportunity to get in front of all the NFL teams, showcase my talents against bigger, higher level competition. And I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, I've had the opportunity to cover the East-West Shrine Bowl a few times. Missed it this year. Plan to be back next year, though. And, every player I speak to, they always talk about the hospital visits, what it's like to hang out with those kids, and they always mention that as one of the bright spots throughout a very exciting week. What was some of the feedback you received throughout the week, though, Big Z? How are teams looking at you as a prospect? Do you kind of have a feel, a couple months before the draft now?
A little bit. They're looking at me to play anywhere between a 3, or a shade or 2 wide. Or some teams have also looked at me to play the 5 in like a 3-4 scheme.
But we're out of Chicago, Big Z. Any chance you're able to meet with the Chicago Bears yet? You seem like a player that would fit in nicely with some of the pieces they have on the interior defensive line, most notably Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman. Certainly, your frame, your size certainly matches up to a couple of those guys.
Yes, sir. I met with the Bears. It's funny because they asked me who my favorite player was, and it was Akeem Hicks, no doubt. And man, it's nasty. He's a freak.
He's certainly one of the more underrated players in the league. And I think that, I think he earned even more respect this past season after he went down, and you kind of seen the Bears defense kind of regress a little bit. So certainly one of the more underrated players in the league. And certainly one of the better players on the defensive line in the NFL. Again, we're chatting with Big Z, 2020 NFL Draft prospect, defensive tackle out of West Georgia. And, Big Z, you didn't even start playing football until your senior year of high school, according to a great article I just seen that was released today from Andrew DeSico from Jaguars Report, part of Sports Illustrated, former guest of the show. He did a great piece on you, and, again, I seen that you didn't even start playing football until your senior year of high school. You have a basketball background before that. So some would call you a raw defensive line prospect and list that as a weakness. Me personally, though, I kind of look at it more so as a positive. I'm sure there's defensive line coaches in the league that kind of just view you as, sort of like a big ball of clay in which they can kind of mold you into however they'd like. How do you look at that? Would you say that that's a safe assumption, that you don't necessarily just fit into one specific defensive scheme, that, your lack of experience could somehow turn into a positive in terms of how teams look at you?
Oh, definitely. I look at it as right now I'm like a sponge. Mm-hmm. I'm soaking up all this knowledge from a lot of stuff that I didn't get to learn during college, And if you look at how much I've grown from my freshman year of college, being 360 pounds, to now, it's drastic. It's drastic change, and it can only get better from here.
For those who have not watched any of your tape, how would you describe the way you play on the defensive line, and what would you say is a strength that's a part of your game?
I have great hands. I play with amazing effort. I have good eyes. I'm a great tackler.
And certainly, that's certainly what you're looking for in terms of defensive line play. Who are some, you mentioned Akeem Hicks. Who are some other current or former players that you like to watch and take bits and pieces of their game and add it into your own?
Definitely Akeem Hicks, and Ndamukong Suh. I watched a little bit of Grover Stewart. He's a small school guy. He came from Albany State. I think he's with the Colts now. I also watched a little bit of Aaron Donald. I know our body types are not the same, but I just enjoy watching his effort and his will and the drive to get to the quarterback.
I'm curious, what is it about Akeem Hicks' game that kind of attracts you the most to him? How come he's your favorite player? Mostly when we talk to prospects and we ask them that question, who's your favorite player or who do you model your game after? They always go for, the Aaron Donalds or the Ndamukong Suhs or, the top-notch players at that position. And while I do think Akeem Hicks belongs in that discussion in terms of top-notch, in terms of defensive tackles in the league, I just don't think a lot of people view him in that same fashion. What is it about Akeem Hicks that attracts you to his game?
Well, he's definitely a real smart guy, and he's a technician. He uses his hands really, really well, extremely powerful. And I feel like those are things that I can get to while playing in the NFL.
Obviously, you answered a lot of questions a couple of weeks ago down in St. Pete, but some will still look at the fact that you're coming from a D2 school in West Georgia. Before that, Kennesaw State, which is an FCS program. Some will still look at that as a weakness. The label lack of competition and use that as a weakness. I mean, what would you say to those that'll try to use that and kind of try and tear you down for that fact?
I feel like just put on the film, and there've been plenty of guys who have come from my situation, such as Akeem Hicks himself. He came from school in Canada, where football is completely different than here. So I feel like that's not a big deal. There are a bunch of players who have come from small schools and have had success in the NFL.
Yeah, for you, it's interesting. Coming out of high school and going to Kennesaw State, they were a jumpstart program. It was their first year in existence, in which you went on to join their program, and then you spend your final year at West Georgia. You play one of the better conferences, if not the best conference in Division II. Did you notice any type of spike in competition from going to FCS to Division II?
Not necessarily, just that players were a little bit smaller, but the competition's still pretty good. Like, they're good football players that play D2 ball, just that they didn't have the size to go into let's say a Michigan or Alabama, but they're fast. They're fast, quick, but they didn't just have the size to go on to put it in a higher level.
He's 2020 NFL draft prospect, defensive lineman out of West Georgia, Auzoyah Alufohai, helping me out, allowing me to call him Big Z this afternoon. A few more questions for you, Big Z, and then we'll let you go. Really do appreciate your time. I see the official West Georgia website. They have you listed at 6'4", 320 pounds. Is that accurate? If not, can you just give us an update on your current listings?
Currently, I weighed in at 364, 316 today.
Okay. And are you satisfied with where you're at right now? Do you want to lose some pounds? Do you want to gain some more pounds? What's up with all that?
Just lose about 4 more pounds and get just more solid.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
And of course, now with the East-West Shrine game officially behind us, I'm sure you're training for the NFL Combine, waiting for that invite. You're training for your pro day. Where exactly are you training at, and what does your schedule consist of from now up until the NFL draft?
I'm training with Chip Smith over here in Atlanta. My D-line coach at Chip Smith is Jamal Anderson. He played with the Falcons. He was the eighth pick. He got drafted out of Arkansas. But my time now is I pretty much I wake up in the morning, of course grab something to eat. Head over to Chip Smith. Workouts start at 9:30 for the D-line and linebackers. We're conditioning, working on, of course, our 40s, shuttles, all the necessary combine events that go on. And then from there, we're in the weight room for about 2 hours. From then, we get something to eat, and then we come back for like position works with Jamal, which I work with. And then after that, I head home, cook. I cook for myself. I'm pretty good at that with watching what I eat with my nutrition and trying to get to my goal.
Well, certainly anybody who's familiar with combine training, they're familiar with Chip Smith and the players that he's had enter the NFL. And, you said it, Jamal Anderson is the defensive line coach there. I mean, are you learning anything new about the defensive line position? As you mentioned, former number 8 overall pick in the 2007 NFL draft. Has a frame, I would say, somewhat similar to yours. I mean, bigger guy, 6'6", 282. They got him on the internet, but I certainly remember his days with the Atlanta Falcons. He had a short stint at the end of his career here in Chicago with the Bears. What's it like working with him day in and day out?
It's awesome because this is things that I've never learned, because it's coming for someone who played in the NFL, who's been where I want to go, So definitely, I'm taking it in everything that he's teaching me every day. He's really working with me with my hand usage, and of course, most importantly, we're working in the classroom. He puts me on the board, all the X's and O's of football. We're watching film together. Really teaching me how to watch film, because I've only been playing football for about 6 years, so there's a lot I have to learn in the classroom.
Of course, it's Super Bowl weekend. We're just a few days away from the Super Bowl. I got to ask you, Big Z, who you going with? Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers. Who do you like on Sunday?
Ooh, I'm going to have to give it to the Chiefs.
All right. I've been going back and forth the last couple, or since we found out that this was going to be the matchup in the Super Bowl. I'm going with the Niners. I think just overall they're the better team. But again, I've been going back and forth for days now, so I can certainly see the Chiefs pulling it out. Hopefully it's a great game. Hey, Big Z, I went back and forth deciding whether or not I'm going to ask you, but I see you changed your Twitter profile picture to the number 24, the number of Kobe Bryant. I know you have a basketball background. Obviously, some very tragic news that happened on Sunday with Kobe Bryant and the 8 other victims on that plane. I just want to hear from you. I mean, what kind of impact did he have on you? And, as you're now going through this process, training now for, the biggest interview of your life for your pro day, I mean, do you that Mamba mentality, is it there even more now than it ever was?
Oh, it's like crazy. He was the biggest thing for me growing up as a young basketball player. And with him, like you said, Mamba mentality. It was like to always have a constant chip on your shoulder. Always be to be pissed off for greatness at any time, at any moment. So it definitely hurt me to see him pass, him and his daughter. But definitely to be pissed off for greatness and to always have a chip on your shoulder, no matter how successful you get.
Yeah, well said. Big Z, really appreciate you taking the time, man. I want to end this interview out on a little bit of a brighter note. It's a question I end all my interviews with, and that's let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're tuned in, listening to this very interview. Why should they want the big 6'4", 320-pound defensive tackle Auzoyah Alufohai, Big Z, out of West Georgia, part of their team?
Like I said before, I've only played this game for 6 years, really 5, 6 years, and I'm like a sponge. I'm soaking everything up. I'm learning as I go. I'm getting better each year, each day, and I'm someone who will never get in trouble off the field. You will have no off the field issues with me.
Hey, Big Z, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you. Wishing you all the best. Congrats on all the success up to this point. And I know you're going to keep working hard again at Chip Smith's facility leading up to Pro Day. And really just wishing you all the best, man. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for everything. Have a blessed day.